Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Merry Christmas.
On AM 560.
Ho, ho, ho.
The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Maybe not in our stocking this year, but maybe next year, Amy, the Panama Canal. Trump wants it back.
Oh, boy.
We get the Panama Canal back, or at least he wants the Panamanians to reduce the costs for U.S. Cargo ships, as well as the U.S. Navy to access it. Bad deal, Carter inked, giving the canal back to Panama in the late 70s.
World. And you take a look at the Panama Canal. It was such an incredible engineering marvel. We sold it under Jimmy Carter. We sold it to Panama for $1. The following day, they quadrupled the amount of money that ships had to pay to get across. They didn't lose one ship. And now they've made it much bigger, and now they've widened it. They've doubled it, right? They've more than doubled it. And it's one of the most profitable things. Any time it's just incredible, right? We gave it away for $1. China now controls it. They actually control the Panama Canal. They run it, they control it. And we shouldn't let that happen. And we can't let China be in Cuba. And they'll get out. If I'm president, they'll get out. Because I had a very good relationship with President Xi, but he respected this country, he respected me, and he'll get out. And we can't let them run the Panama Canal. We built the Panama Canal. Should have never been given to Panama. We should have had it. But we gave it for $1. Think of it. They quadrupled. In one day, they lifted the fees, which are, pretty big, for these massive ships to go through, right? Rather than going around the Cape and through all the tremendous storms, such beauty, it's beautiful stuff. But you didn't want to get caught in those storms. Those were storms that wiped out the biggest ships. And we go through the Panama Canal, we built it, and we gave it away for $1. Think of that. How stupid are we? We have done the stupidest things in this country.
About 70% of all transits head to or from U.S. ports, 70% of transits through the canal. So there's some leverage there.
Yeah, and you've been there, and I've been there too. I mean, it's an engineering feat. It's to see.
Yeah, I'd like to maybe, if we get it back, if Trump gets it back, maybe put a golf course there in Gamboa, where I stayed. I mean, a golf course that, adjacent to the canal would kind of be nice.
Oh,
It
okay.
could, clear some of that unnecessary tropical rainforest, as I always say. For more on this and other matters, what else can we get back? Maybe we can give Hong Kong back to the Brits while we're at it. Get that out of Chi-Com's hands, too. Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official. Is a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies now. Stephen, thanks for joining us.
It is always my pleasure to be on the show. Thank you for having me back.
So, that's, either you lower the fees associated with our ships and our Navy traveling through the canal, or we want it back.
It's not one that would have leapt to my mind, but it has some logic to it, and President Trump seems to, the poor Canadians are still up there wringing their hands, going, "How can we stop from becoming a state for the United States?"
Yeah, exactly.
51st state.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I think at least, when he raises issues like that, he at least moves the ball on the field from wherever it may have been to a more advantageous place for the United States. Whether he gets the final, ask that he made is frankly irrelevant if he gets some relative advantage over where it was before.
Well, and also, this is sort of in a different kind of sort of way. This is sort of like a corollary to the Monroe Doctrine. This isn't our hemisphere. We sold it for $1. We shouldn't have. We're the majority users of it. I want a better deal.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what he's saying. I hope he doesn't get Putin-like on us and decide to like reassemble everything we've ever owned before. But in this case, I think it's less about us owning the Panama Canal again, and more about, hey, we should be getting some sort of bulk price, because we're 70% of what is funding this whole thing, and we gave it to you for $1.
Well, and then sometimes they charge $300 for certain barges to go through the Panama Canal. So I think
$300,000.
300,000. Yeah, sorry. But the president of Panama delivered remarks yesterday saying no, the canal is sovereign and is not negotiable.
Yeah, and Trump's message to the president of Panama is, you're Panama and we're the United States, and we're the dominant player in the Western Hemisphere, and I want you to know that, and I want Xi and the Chinese Communist Party to know that. That seems to me what he's really doing.
Yeah, I think so, too. This is as much a message to Xi as it is to the Panamanians, by a long shot. And again, remember, this is the man, what's the title of his book? The Art of the Deal. He loves to negotiate. It's what he's done his whole career, and he takes that to the table. And because he does it differently than traditional politicians, it catches people by surprise. I don't know why they're surprised. They ought to be used to it by now. But it still causes people to go, oh, wait a minute. And he says, no, let's talk. Things have to change. And that's something that is powerful, and President Trump has used it to our advantage. So I know it makes a lot of politicians and definitely a lot of diplomats uncomfortable, but you know what? He doesn't much care about that.
I also wanted to get your take on apparently an Islamist-inspired terrorist attack in Manburg, Germany, at the Christmas market there. And nothing changes with the respect to this D.C. press corps, and the great effort by Western media to tamp this down as a Islamo-fascist terrorist attack, where you had a number of people killed and hundreds injured. This guy, drives a BMW through a crowded Christmas market. It was reminiscent of the attack on the Waukesha, Wisconsin Christmas parade a few years back. And the press, a car drives through a group of people, blah, blah, blah. He had rejected Islam, and he was an atheist and so forth, this Saudi national, except that there's video of him being arrested where when police are surrounding him, he shouts Allahu Akbar. So, and I say that in conjunction with a story out of Virginia, and here we go again, college student, as opposed to somebody who was affiliated with terrorist organizations. George Mason University student arrested for plotting a mass casualty attack targeting Jews. Are we seeing, these are one-offs, but are we seeing a heightened concern about Islamo-fascist terrorism again, both abroad and now in the Western world, like we saw post 9/11?
Well, I think we're definitely seeing an uptick in anti-Semitism, and frankly, the majority of anti-Semitism in the world today, despite what the American press corps would like to spin it, does still come from radical Islamists. That's a fact. You can't deny that. Even though we have, other idiots around the world who are anti-Semitic, who are not Islamists, the bulk of that feeling in the most people comes from the Islamist, and I'm saying that way specifically, world. So not, every person who believes in Islam isn't out to kill every Jew, but most of the people who are out to kill every Jew are Islamists, the political radical portion of Islam. So to ignore that or to try and conflate it, I've seen several reports say, "Oh, well, the big problem is anti-Semitism and Islamophobia."
Yeah, of course, it's the same thing. It's the same thing the press was doing post 9/11.
Exactly. So Look, we've got to. You can't fight these hate-filled ideologies if you don't identify them for what they are and what they mean. And look, the Saudis wanted to arrest this guy. They asked the Germans to get him back several times, warned the Germans about his proclivities, and the Germans did nothing. So I can't get mad at the Saudis for this. They were trying to get hold of this guy and stop him. The Germans were idiots and did not act.
Well, it's
why?
You can't ignore the fact that he's an Islamist.
Well, because the typical multiculturalism that has infected Western Europe and the United States. I mean, this student, George Mason University student. Yeah, well, he was an Egyptian national who is a documented strong supporter of ISIS, praised Al Qaeda and Bin Laden, as called Bin Laden his hero, and then he gets on the radar and he gets picked up. But this speaks to this sort of open borders, multicultural, all cultures are equal, all people's philosophies on life are equal kind of silliness that has infected the West. Now, I think that's changing. It's going to change here. We know that. But Western Europe still has a ways to go.
Yeah, it's fortunately that tide is changing. It's not just in the United States. There's country after country that are rejecting the whole progressive woke theories that have been governing definitely Western Europe and here for so long. And now people are saying enough. We don't want to do this anymore. We're not hate-filled people, but we're also not suicidal. So it needs to stop. And I think that tide will continue, but it's going to get a lot of pushback from these burrowed-in practitioners of woke theology, because that's really what it is, who are going to say, oh, no, that's hateful. You can't do that. We have to just love everyone and accept everyone. And if they do something bad, well, they do have reasons for it. It's still against the law. Stop trying to paper it over and give people, a pass when they break the law. Enforce the laws we have and fix the broken ones that are there. Protect our borders, protect our citizens and our allies. We need to support the allies who are moving in that same direction. To do otherwise is foolish.
Question for you about the Doge boys, the two Bobs. They're Elon and Vivek and company. There obviously has to be a review of the Pentagon since it hasn't passed an audit in 8 years and hopes to sometime before the new millennium. You're talking about $900 billion in spend, so it's not inconsequential. If you were an advisor to Doge and talking about sort of cleaning up, tightening up the Pentagon's budget and trying to achieve some real savings without, of course, compromising our ability to have the sort of military and statecraft that is required to keep America safe, where would you direct their attention? Is there one or two places you would say you really need to look here, how the Pentagon does this or how the Pentagon does that?
Well, yeah, there's, the first thing, as long as they have a SecDef that's on the same sheet of music, and if Hegseth is confirmed, I think they'll have that. There's a ton of social program stuff that costs a lot of money and wastes a lot of time. You could cut off the top. We tried under Secretary Rumsfeld to get rid of some of the procedures that we had to live under for personnel, where you could not fire people if they weren't doing their job. We tried to do performance ratings that were meaningful and had teeth, and they fixed it. But as soon as Rumsfeld left the building, the unions went to Capitol Hill and they got it all reinstated back just the way it was. So the whole personnel system needs to change. I'm not saying you got to fire everybody in DOD. Most of the people there are actually patriots who want to do the right thing, but there's a ton of dead weight that could be cut personnel-wise. The entire acquisition system needs to be re-wickered because it is so burdened down with regulations and backstops and all these things that don't add anything. It's just as inefficient, but we spend more money getting to the level of inefficiency than we would if we just went straight there. So that needs to be reviewed and fixed as well. Those are all good places to start. And, look at the overhead. We cut force structure. We cut the meat, the soldiers and sailors and airmen, and we always have the same number of flag officers, the generals and admirals. In fact, they usually go up. Perhaps we cut some of those senior positions and streamline the command structure and not only save money, but sort of clear out the pipes, if you will.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen Bucci, thank you as always. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you guys. Have a great holiday, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust.
He's a 30-year licensed broker
who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. 630-674-1551.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Spice up your Christmas with Balance of Nature's Fiber and Spice Supplement. Stir our Fiber and Spice Supplement into a glass of water with a splash of chilled apple juice to craft an amazing cider. Balance of Nature's Fiber and Spice Supplement is made with whole fiber and 12 aromatic spices like cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg. Whether you're gathered around the Christmas tree, toasting with friends, or enjoying a quiet moment by the fireplace, our Fiber and Spice Supplement welcomes every moment with its comforting embrace. As we approach this special time of year, spice up your Christmas and add the Fiber and Spice Supplement to your Christmas list. Cheers to a season filled with joy and flavorful celebrations. Merry Christmas! This season, be part of the cheer and save big with our exclusive Christmas deal. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set and get this exclusive Christmas offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
As we near the end of the year, many families in Latin America and the Caribbean are struggling just to get by. Inflation, food shortages, and natural disasters have left parents unable to feed their children or access water.
When the kids go to bed and we just stay in the night talking about how it's very hard to see my kids go to bed with hunger and not having something to give to them.
For over 40 years, Food for the Poor has stood alongside families like these. Gifts of $500 from AM 560 listeners have already provided food for 10 children for an entire year. now we're asking for your help with the next 4. Your one-time gift of $200 provides life-saving food for 4 children for a year and helps the community get water closer to home. Make your best gift